Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning. High and a happy elephant lady and porcupine proud to kick this thing off and to get it started. Good morning, Kevin. Kevin is with us this morning. We got what's that? Gushu.
Oh,
Excuse me.
Jesus.
I'm
Just
terrible with names, but
KG. Just KG. Just
KG. Okay, good morning, KG. Good morning to you as well. And share the broadcast, share the broadcast. I'm looking for some of those gifts y'all got. Y'all be talking about them gifts and all kind of stuff. I don't know how all that stuff work, man. But if y'all want to give me some, shoot them across the screen. Let me see them. But before we go another step further, before I do anything different, I got to say good morning to my brother from another mother. But we got the same father. This is Captain Leonard. Good morning, Captain Leonard. How you doing this morning?
man. Good morning, Raheem and the Morning Glow family.
Leonard, I got to kick this thing off like I kicked the thing. Good morning, DJ. Good morning, DJ D. Good morning. Good to have you this morning. Leonard, I got to kick it off, man. I know, man, there's a lot going on, and I need you to catch me up to speed, brother. Here in the election, the governmental election here is going on here in Georgia. You got Stacey Abrams. She's actually running, and a lot of people are high and happy that she's running. I'm happy that she's running again. But you got Governor Kemp. And now you have all the other people on the Republican side coming out. Now the ex-senator Perdue, he's throwing his hat in the arena. He's already throwing shots at Kemp, saying that Kemp cannot beat Abrams, and so he feels as though he need to run to keep her out of office. Leonard, what is really going on, brother?
You know, the first thing that actually comes to my mind when you mention folks like David Perdue and the GOP band of thieves is the song Aretha Franklin used to sing, Chain of Fools.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I
Chain. Yes,
This
sir.
is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
We get to let's watch the Republican Party destroy itself. It will say nothing at all. They will have no campaign uh, benefits as opposed. They won't even be able to mention what they're going to do for the people of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
They have absolutely no plan at all. Their whole campaign, and sad to say, is going to be based on loyalty to Donald Trump.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because this is the overall strategy of the Republican GOP. It is to, well, first of all, I did bring people up to speed on if they're not familiar with the Electoral Count Act, around
Mm-hmm.
1887, 86, I believe. And what that Electoral Count Act does is it establishes how we use those electors to choose the president of the United States.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, one of the biggest issues that kind of went under the radar with former President Obama was election security.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
the strategy of the GOP, believe it or not, is to still somehow support Donald Trump
Mm-hmm.
by replacing, and this is why they invest so heavily in replacing Democratic governors. The reason why Brian Kemp is under attack is because he's not the bulldog that the Republican Party need in a state like Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to bring back David Perdue, who will do whatever Trump wants him to do
Yes.
without hesitation.
Mm-hmm.
There's going to be a lot of infighting in this particular race. You'll see huge sums of money going towards David Perdue because he is in allegiance with Donald Trump and pretty much in allegiance with what went on January the 6th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the Republican strategy. And by placing particular governors in certain areas that the Republicans usually win to bolster this attempt to, if there is a question as it relates to the presidential election, there is a particular law or absence of law as it relates to that Electoral Count Act. That, let's say, for instance, if you don't like how the Georgia election turned out,
Mm-hmm.
you could somehow, as governor, appoint other electors
Okay.
to replace these quote electors who, for some reason, or states for some reason, their count is not leaning a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
And if you deem that there was some fraud,
mm-hmm.
you would have license to replace those electors in that state.
Mm. Is that almost stacking the numbers, or
yes, that is
exactly
what it is. It's a
okay.
strategy to try to beat the Democrats,
mm-hmm.
everything but fairly. Rather
Wow.
than the people just going to the polls and voting and things be counted, the Republicans cannot risk that. So they are always trying to attack election results that don't lean in their favor. As we saw before, countless lawsuits related to investigating an election that turned up no results to overturn the count.
Exactly. None.
They want to fix it in order to overturn it where they see fit and support governors in certain states to make that happen for them. Rather than what Stacey Abrams' organization is all about. Fair fight. Making sure people have access to the polls.
Yes.
The GOP is completely against that.
Mm-hmm.
So just listen to their message. It will have nothing to do with doing those things which are better for the people of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Andre Dickens as well.
Absolutely.
And, locally here, I mean, he has a very aggressive agenda for when he takes office. And man, it is going to be great to watch this young man try and implement these progressive policies in this state that focuses on the people, homelessness and crime, by hiring more police officers. He's actually going to give the current police chief a 100-day contract. He has committed himself to removing the majority of the power structure that is there and replacing them with more progressive individuals that are not involved with corruption and those things. Appointing a new chief education officer. There was this previous initiative called House ATL. And House ATL had all those things in it that would provide for more housing and the working and trying to alleviate homelessness as well. Increasing infrastructure projects as it relates to MARTA, with hopefully making MARTA free in the future.
Wow.
So, I mean, he 100% clean energy in the future as well. And there's a lot of different things that he plans to do that is going to be great for students of a public administration, as well as hopefully encouraging people to get engaged. And that's what he's about. That's why I like him the most, is because he's encouraged engagement by the people.
Absolutely.
Getting things done.
We got a couple of callers on the line. Our next caller on the line was Cassandra. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing well. We're talking about this gubernatorial race that's going on here in the state of Georgia, and how you have we got Charles with it. How you have the Republican Party, they're actually going against each other. Only one that's running, I think, on the Democratic part is Stacey Abrams. But you have Kemp, and you have two or three, I think about three people running right now. And Perdue, he's actually come out and said he's going to run. They're actually throwing shots at each other right now. Perdue, he said one of the interviews he did, he said that Kemp can't beat Abrams, and so he said he could beat her, and he's throwing his head in the arena. What do you hear in that?
You know, I see this is about to be a very ugly race in Georgia. And I'm already upset with Perdue because I'm trying to figure out why this man said over his dead body. Now, I'm going to let that be prophetic. I want that to be prophetic.
Prayers going up. Prayers going up.
body. Come on now, Leonard. I need that to be prophetic. Over his dead body would Stacey Abrams be the governor of Georgia. I need that to come to pass for him.
Amen and amen.
Out of his own mouth. I need it to happen.
Wow.
Because this race is going to be ugly, because it's going to be race, whether we like it or not. We keep trying to run away from Republicans and Democrats, a race thing. It is a race thing.
Yes.
A lot of it is race related. So let's not pretend that it's not and be ignorant that it's not. Anytime a grown behind man gets up and this is a race for a governor. Why is it that you have to get so personal with people when they're not getting personal with you? But one thing I appreciate about Stacey Abrams is that she will stand up for her own self. She don't need me or anybody else to defend her. But I hate that he is coming out the door saying stupid stuff like over his dead body. I need that to happen.
Yes,
from his mouth to God's ear.
Okay. Wow. We got another one on the phone line. We got Spanish on the phone line this morning. I think it's Curtis. Curtis, are you with us?
I felt something in my spirit, Raheem.
Curtis, good morning. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. This show is, man, all I can say is, man, this show is we burning it up here, right?
Yes, sir. Let me do this, Kurt. Let me get some people asking for the phone number. The phone number is 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. The phone lines are open. Kurt, this gubernatorial race here in the state of Georgia, man, is getting a little crazy. It's getting a little crazy, brother. What are you seeing?
You know, the ignorant will always eat their own.
Thank you.
Anyway, what Cassandra just said. Let me go on and throw this out here. There's an old governor by the name of Governor Wallace. He kind of alluded to the same thing.
Hello. Come on now. Remember that.
Same thing. So now, you know, I hate to take pride in this, but he alluded to the same thing till he brought his hind parts up here to Maryland.
Thank you.
All himself giving a speech. And one of his own, as we used to say back in the early 80s, put that thing in him. Put him in a wheelchair.
Wow.
Well, what he was talking about, he ran away from that after getting that wheelchair for the rest of his life. See, people like Perdue have been able to hide when they was in Congress because they had certain protections around their state in Congress. He don't have those protections no more. He need to take his Lily. I can't say the things I want to say. The gospel talk and jazz radio station, but he need to go sit down somewhere. Go get in a clown car, man. It's a couple of. It's him, people like him, people like, I don't know if y'all familiar with this dude, but his name is Peter King. Need to go sit down somewhere, man. Sit down somewhere, because see, these folks are still living, they're living in a mind, they're living in a place where if you think guns and bullets, if you think bullets and butter, they're living in a place where the African American community, the average household income was barely $30,000 a year. They're living in a time, they still living in a time when the average house with a weapon in the African American community is probably 1 out of every 5. It's not that no more.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Now you got 4 out of 5 got at least one gun, and the 5th house might be where all the guns stashed at. So I don't know what he's trying to do down there. I don't know. I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to rev up that royal base to make sure that they come out and cast their vote. But I'll just end it like this. If the Dems is smart, every piece of paperwork that they filing about voter fraud and all of that, I would dedicate the Georgia Democratic Party should dedicate a whole team, a whole unit to not only watch the cities, but to be on guard, especially in those royal areas. And I guarantee you're going to find dead, old Southern Bells who done voted, dead Sons of the Confederacy who done voted, dead Confederates who done voted. I guarantee you they will come out with so much voter fraud. It was already voter fraud anyway.
Okay, hold on.
Ain't supposed to be.
Exactly.
Let me put this out here real quick for the listening public who don't live in Georgia. The governor of Georgia is not supposed to be the governor. Period. He's supposed to be locked up.
Okay, let me pull some more people. Kurt, hold on. Let me pull some more people to the conversation, brother. Don't go nowhere. Stay right there where you at. And the phone lines are open 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. The phone lines are open. We're talking about right now that this is not our topic. We're talking about the politics and the gubernatorial race. Now, if you got some stuff going on in your city or your state that you want to address and bring to the forefront, give us a call. Let us know what's going on. Charles, good morning. How you doing this morning?
What's going on, bro?
Hey, man, doing good. We're talking about this gubernatorial race, man, and everything that's going on in this gubernatorial race. You got Stacey actually running solo on the Democratic part, but I think you got 3 people that's running right now for the Republican side. What's the strategy, brother?
I really don't know. I know I'm listening to everybody talk, and it's weird how you hear the same talking points that people say about Democrats on Republican radio, and the same things on Republicans on Democrat radio. And it's weird that everybody think that the other person is doing something or have been doing this, or Confederates and all this, that, and the other. And that's weird, but we do know, like, facts. If you show facts of the past, Purdue, we're not worried about Purdue. He got to win a primary. He's not going to win it. He can say all he want to say, but he's not going to win it. Stacey Abrams, I don't believe she's going to win either. And I wouldn't want her in office just because she's black. That's just as ignorant as somebody wanting a white person in office just because they're white. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't believe in the things that she believes in. I really lean towards more conservative views instead of more liberal views. I don't lean towards people Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ community. I don't lean towards that stuff. Reading the kids, transvestites reading the kids. I don't lean to those things that the Democrat Party lean to. But as for just politics, Stacey Abrams is going to be hard for her to win because Joe Biden is doing so bad. Usually when you have the president doing bad, that 2 year is hard for the other party to win. You understand? Usually, because the Democrats own the Senate, they own the I think they got the majority in everything right now. Only thing I think beating them are filibusters or something like that. But they got a majority across the board, I believe. So usually when that happens, and if you can look back, the other party usually wins. You understand? So it'll be hard for Stacey Abrams to make Georgia to a blue state. She, I think, I know in my area where I live at, which is in Decatur, last time go around, they had like trucks and buses going around busing people to vote. And these were buses and trucks that were ran by Democrats. That won't happen again because I'm going to do the same thing for Republicans. Because I just don't believe that a Democrat the last 60-some years we've been voting Democrat, we've been voting the right way. That's just how I feel about it. That's my opinion. You know, you can get in your feelings and all that stuff, but in my opinion, looking at it, they hadn't done anything for blacks that should have been done that we could do for ourselves. I never raise a government up, empower a government. I would never empower a government that at one time said it was legal for blacks to be slaves. It doesn't make sense to me that blacks went back empowering a government that at one time was legal that said it was legal for blacks to be slaves.
Okay.
I would never empower a government that want to reduce or know how many guns you have. I would never empower a government like that. Okay. It doesn't make sense.
Let's and you know, when you put some a statement out there like that, you know, you're gonna get some responses from it. You're gonna get some people that's gonna feel a different way, and that's one of the reasons why. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, I love, you know, what we do here, because we give everybody an opportunity to speak their mind. You know, I can't give you your opinion. Your opinion is yours. I can't give it to you, and I'm not saying that to you, Charles. I'm saying that to everybody that come on the broadcast, and anybody that's coming on new. Don't call in thinking I'm gonna give you an opinion. I can't give you your opinion. That belongs to you. Cassandra, what's on your heart right now? And Tucson, I'm coming to you next. Cassandra?
Yeah.
Yes. What's on?
That's okay. Let's pass me. We'll pass me.
Okay.
I'll come back.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Tucson, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'll open the door.
Mm-hmm.
Because one thing, and I'll just say this: good morning. I don't care.
Hey, Tucson, they're saying they're having a hard time hearing you, brother. Are you talking directly into the phone? They're saying they're having a hard time hearing you.
So what now?
There you go.
Y'all want me screaming?
No, that's much better. That's much better right there. Stay right there.
I was trying not to let other folks at the job know that I'm on, you know. Anyway, that's my problem. I can handle that.
Mm-hmm.
So you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One thing that I will do is respect a person, anybody. I don't have to agree with you,
mm-hmm.
but I will try my best to respect you. And in the respect is being open and honest.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yes.
There are some things that I just don't understand, but I respect it. And I can understand. But I've been in America for 58 years that I know. I don't know if I was reincarnated or what. I don't even believe in that.
Mm-hmm.
But whether it's, let's just put it out there right here. In this democracy that we have, in a democratic, Republican society that's, for the most part, didn't both of them have slaves?
Yes. Yes.
I'm just asking.
Mm-hmm. Charles over there. He I got his mouth, but he's shaking his head and saying no.
No.
Okay, no. Go ahead. I just asked the question. I'm just
hold on, Charles. Hold on, Charles. Go ahead.
I'm gonna get you. We can get back. I'm just asking because I'm just confused because this whole America was just like that.
Mm-hmm.
They had slaves in the north and they had slaves in the south.
Mm-hmm.
So when we point out and we try to pinpoint, because I may vote a certain way, but I'm neither Democrat, Republican, Independent. I'm not even American.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not either, because they don't accept you. They accept you just as less or the same as they do me.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is find out. Violate something. You'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Do something that some other nationality or whatever you want to call it. Get a traffic stop.
Try to date.
And you see and I don't care what neighborhood you're in and what your financial status looks like.
Mm-hmm.
when the rubber meets the road, they don't give a rat's tail about you. I was nice, Cassandra. And I'm not talking about Charles myself. And I can tell you, Charles, I respect you, love you, brother. I don't know you. So I can't say anything against you or anybody else. I don't know none of y'all. Y'all don't know me when it really comes down to it. But when we start pointing out each other, we all in the ditch. Neither one of us are out the ditch. Just because you got 2 nickels more than I do, that don't mean it.
Dang on thing.
I just want to say that.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm gonna feel in the void for you. Dang on thing. Let me help
a damn
you.
thing.
Hey.
Thank you too, Cassandra. Thank you too.
Let me go. Leonard, what's on your heart, brother?
Ain't no sense in Charles getting no freaking van because them racist white Republicans ain't gonna ride with you. And all this foolishness, I'm not for it today.
Y'all some idiots, man.
I am just not. Now, we have certain things to address. The GOP party has an issue in the state of Georgia right now because they're infighting. They have no agenda to stand on that supports the majority of voters, white, black, racist, whatever. They have nothing to say of value to voters.
I don't get that.
What Perdue is going to do, of course, is attack Kemp, and Kemp is just as weak as a 3-legged horse, but he is in the position. Okay, we've seen foolishness across the board. What we need to be concerned about is the bigger picture, which we talked about when we started the show. The reason why David Perdue is running for governor is because he's been promised money by the same people that support the actions that occurred on January the 6th. Okay, that's why he's running for governor.
Amen.
Because he is sold out to Trump, and this supposedly down the road, and this is what is going to destroy the GOP. Rather than revamp that party and show what great things that they can do for the people of America, they're going to sit there and try and fight to hold on to what they are about. They are racist. They are people who support the ideals of the Confederacy. This is how they govern. All of the evidence is there. You can go and look at it. There's a huge difference between a government ran by someone like Abrams and someone run by Perdue. And so remember what I tell you, there's going to be huge investment coming up in every individual Republican governor across the United States. For the very reason.
Hey, Leonard, what do you say? Cordona asked the question, didn't both of them have slaves? Charles said no.
Like I said, another moot point that makes no sense whatsoever. This election has nothing to do with who supported slavery back when it was legal. Because guess who supported slavery back when it was legal? Wicked white racist. The same people running for various offices now that are in certain positions currently. People that still support those ideals of white supremacy. Now, pushed all of that to the side because that's what the rats gonna be doing. Now, what the people need to do is to support the people who are investing and trusting them. That's the Abram has always started an organization to make sure the vote was fair, right? So then you have the opposite side doing what? Trying to disenfranchise voters. That's what's important. It's not important who did what 200-300 years ago. It's important about who did what yesterday. Who doing what now?
Thank you.
So when you think about it, I've led so many voter registrations drive. Not once have I had white folks interested in a voter registration drive. Not once. We do voter registration drives for the very simple fact of the number of people who have been disenfranchised by this illegitimate government structure that we have. So that's why we motivate people who have not voted or may not have any interest to get involved, to share the issues with them. The issues alone will lean you towards the Democratic Party, regardless of their history or anything else. You have to look at what's rational. And the GOP is just not rational. And they ugly. and they look
Okay.
ugly. They say ugly things, and they plan on destroying all of the progressive things that young, vibrant individuals have put in place.
Good deal. Good deal. We got I want to go and we got a lot of things that everybody's very passionate about this. So let's keep our frame within the 3 minutes. When I come to you, keep it within 3 minutes so we can move on and get to as many people as we can before we get to our topic. I'm coming to you right now, Curtis. 3 minutes, sir.
Okay. First and foremost, Charles, brother, I love you, man. I really do. But you're going to have to come with facts. You're going to have to come with historical facts. Because right now, you're just saying what you heard. And I love you, brother. And I know that you mean well, right? And God has blessed you, has taken you from nothing to everything. And I respect that. But, brother, the only people that didn't own slaves, the only people that did not own slaves is the Dutch, is the Quakers. Both parties owned slaves up until the abolitionist movement. That's key point number one. Key point number two is that the party you represent allowed for slavery to be abolished 3 other times prior to the Emancipation Proclamation. And after the service was rendered by African slaves or African Americans, or however you want to call them, indentured servants, after the services was rendered, the ideology of slavery being legal went right back to its original founding. So I would implore you that when you're going to put that information out there, ain't nothing wrong with putting it out there because it's your opinion. When you're going to put it out there with facts, with historical facts that support your thought, so that it won't just sound like an opinion. It'll sound like an opinion that's based in fact or empirical data. But the truth of the history of this country is both parties owned slaves. So I gave you 2 key points. The last key point is this. True indeed, the Democratic Party was a proponent of slavery. I believe they was called Dixiecrats. I could have it wrong. I'm pretty sure Leonard going to check me if I'm wrong. They were called Dixiecrats. There was a series of Dixiecrats that jumped and left the Democratic Party as a result, as a main result of LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, signing the civil rights legislation.
Exactly.
A junk party, and because they had money, they was welcomed into the Republican Party, which caused a shift in the Republican Party. That is why Dr. King and several of our civil rights leaders started backing away from the Republican Party, because the Republican Party had accepted those very same people who came from those very same families that were passing such laws as the Black Codes, Jim Crow law, and things of that nature. Brother, I'm not saying that you're wrong, so don't take it like I'm saying you're wrong. I'm just saying your historical data is not on point.
Good deal. 3 minutes, Curtis.
It is true that the Democratic Party did own slaves, but it is also true that at one point the Republican Party owned slaves, and that's not refutable, bro.
And let's also clear up one thing going forward, Raheem. No party owned slaves. Okay.
Individuals.
Right. We need to focus on the individuals and who they are, because this is how you identify them today. And they are the David Perdue's, the Brian Kemps, and all these people that come up with these things that disenfranchise voters so that they can maintain the power structure. Anybody sympathetic to the Confederacy after Reconstruction should have never been allowed to hold public office in the first place. So now what we need to do is we need to step up the goals of Reconstruction. And that is to destroy, even now in 2021, to destroy the remnants of that theology. Oh, I don't want to call it that philosophy. Excuse me.
Yes.
Ideology. I get it. You're right.
Exactly. Okay, let's do this right here. We're gonna keep this thing going, Charles. I got you.
Now, Leonard, he got
3 minutes, Charles.
I got it. Leonard got me. I was just getting ready to say that. That's why I was saying no. No party owns slaves. But Leonard got that. He already said it. Individuals own slaves.
Yeah.
And exactly when slavery was legal, everybody, Native Americans owned slaves. Everybody owned slaves. Blacks even owned slaves. When slavery stopped in America, Africa kept with the slavery. Matter of fact, the free slaves that went to Africa got slaves. So it wasn't a race thing. Slavery didn't come to America about race. It came to America about money, and it became race thing to keep us separated so they can keep slavery going.
Well, it was the white slaves, Charles.
I didn't say white slaves. I said white people own slaves. I didn't say anything about white slaves. I said, I'm not talking about, whenever I talk about black folks, it upsets me when people interject white people. I'm talking about black people. I said whites own slaves. I said blacks own slaves. Native American own slaves. Is that not true?
I won't comment. For the very simple fact is that one, people had the right to own slaves as they saw fit, as they could afford. However, what I'm really upset about is the fact that you would exploit black people this way, knowing that black people purchased their families because of this.
That's a lie, brother.
The only way they could get their children and their families out of slavery was to purchase them themselves.
That's not a total
There were
truth.
abolitionist white ministers who purchased slaves to remove them from plantations that were so inhumane.
That is true
even
too.
Within a, like I said, even within an illegitimate system like we have here in America, where things like this are allowed to exist, we must be about correcting these issues.
But
and
you're
the way
sitting
to
here telling me
correct
that
these issues
is
one at a time. People
one at a
in
time.
office
I was talking,
that
man.
have policies and agendas to correct it.
Okay, hold on.
Come on, man.
Charles.
Come on, man.
If you want a history lesson, go read a book.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
Hold on. Let's afford him his time that he's
Come on, man.
Charles, go ahead.
You cut my mic off if I did that. You cut my mic off.
I'm giving you the opportunity. You ain't even talking right now, brother. I'm giving you the opportunity. The floor is yours. What you trying to say? Talk to me.
I'm trying to say you would cut my mic off if I did that.
Your mic is on right now, Charles. Talk.
I know you. I said, but you would do
Charles,
that.
Don't worry. We're not hopping on that, brother. We're trying to make a point.
Yes, we are, man, because I'm trying to prove a point. Stop doing that, man.
So you more concerned about a mic being turned off to make your point.
Right now, I am, because you do that.
Well, let's turn your mic off right now. Hold on. Let's Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
Listen, man. This self-deprecation of self is just ignorant.
Ignorant.
It's ignorant. You know, I don't know how else to put it. Will Rogers said it best. He said, when ignorance is on the move, it has no bounds, right? Because historically, the only group and or organization in this country still today to not want anything to do with slavery is the Quakers. That's the Amish people, the Dutch. They are the only ones that did not want anything to do with slavery, that they spiritually said, according to God's word, slavery was wrong. Now, Charles is right. The dominance of slavery was it was all based in economics. It was all based in economics. That don't make it right. You understand that it is not right for you to exploit a given group of people so that you can obtain greater wealth. That is not right, and I'm not going to go with that, and I'm not going to support that. But Leonard said the most important thing that was said this whole hour. Leonard basically said in so many words, correct me if I'm wrong, if you're going to cast a vote for the people that are writing and passing legislation that better represents what you got going on. That better represents the people. Now, I don't know where this guy come from, getting on here with these ridiculous, tired, ignorant talking points. That's why I keep saying it over and over again. If you're going to get on here with talking points, at least have your talking points grounded in fact. This guy sounds like he comes from QAnon somewhere, that he done went down a rabbit hole and they done made himself hate. I don't know. I'm not going to speak for him. But at the end of the day, I would implore this guy to take a look at the power structure of when Kemp became governor. And if you realistically look at that power structure, and this to all your Georgia voters, because if I'm not mistaken, they actually got it up on the ballot. They actually got it up for a vote when they come up on this governor's race. It's going to be an addendum, or I forget what they call it, but they put it in the, you know how you have your votes where you voting for people, you voting for a party, or you voting for a person, but then you vote for like these little HRs on the side. You know what I'm saying? Like state legislators, you know, we want to change Highway 285 to Highway 295, for example. That'll be on the ballot. But what they're trying to do is shift the power through legislation so that Kemp can, if he loses the election, he will be able to recall the vote.
Yes.
He will be able to basically appoint himself. Now, if you do the homework, it was already a conflict of interest, and he shouldn't not have been able to run for governor. And nobody paid it any attention. The national news, they talked about it, and then they got right off it, which tells me the power structure and who's in charge, because there's no way in the world you can have a guy running for governor and this guy's in charge of the voters registration department. I forget what they call it.
Secretary of State.
But he was basic. Say that again, Leonard.
Secretary of State.
Yeah, he was basically setting under the Secretary of State, and it was his job to make sure that the voting polls had the right. Basically, he was overseeing the voting polls, that the ballots were turned in, and this, that, and the third. Right then and there, if he was running for governor, they were supposed to unseat him immediately, and either put somebody in the seat or have a emergency election to elect somebody to take that seat. Or the previous governor before Kemp was supposed to appoint someone to that seat. They were not supposed to leave him there. So his whole election was fraud. It was fraudulent. So I don't know, man. I don't know, man.
Cassandra, what's on your heart? Cassandra, you there? Cassandra.
That's what I made Cassandra start cursing.
But while we're waiting on Cassandra, we want to make sure that people, like what Kurt was talking about, has a lot to do with what we started off about in the beginning. And see, that Electoral Count Act that is being looked at now seriously is one, when people use this power, like the governor of Georgia, for instance, the law is written in a way that allows so many loopholes to sort of sway elections. And the conflict of interest that has been going on is being overlooked, especially in the state of Georgia. This is why you have a Stacey Abrams that creates an organization called Fair Fight and things of that nature, because of all these election irregularities that go on. So remember what I told you about seating a governor that is a Republican governor that will move lock and step with those people still sympathetic to Trump. David Perdue's money is coming from this effort. And it is done in effect so that, one, if there is an irregularity in an election in any state, they want to give the power to the governor to appoint a special electors if necessary to sway the elections. because they cannot win on issues alone. This is why they don't talk about issues. They come out and they say, because Biden doing so bad. Well, what is he doing so badly?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, statistically, when the president is doing bad, it makes it harder for what happens is when a person starts speaking in a way that appeals to the American people, which the Republicans are learning now, is, you know what, that same race hate game only working on the real low ignorant.
Mm-hmm.
People, they can't get the votes that they used to get in a lot of these strongholds that they used to get. You know why? Because regardless of your color, people not eating, people not working, people have issues. They need education. They need ways to do better as well. The other party is not providing this access. So now they're listening to the Democrats and they're looking at the programs that they have available. They're going to remember who was supporting them when it came to stipends for unemployment and for continuing programs to help them. Because regardless of your color, everybody needed it during those times.
Mm-hmm.
And so now we have to move to the polls to make it common for our government to look out for people first.
Exactly. Cassandra, well, yeah, you back with us? Cassandra may have to step away for a minute. I know.
I am.
Okay. What's on your heart? And Toussaint, come to you next, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, and Badge, we got Badge. Badge come.
You know, I'm like Toussaint and Leonard and you. People can have their own opinions. I just want it based on facts. And I'm sorry. You can say Biden is doing a bad job, but I'm going to tell you, the people where I live, the people in my community, the people around me have benefited from him being in office. Now, for those that got it, and they got business, they got all, they got their nice house, their nice cars. I work with the people that are working at McDonald's and Burger King. And they have felt a relief since Biden has been in. So I'm for the poor man because I'm a poor woman. So I'm for those that are struggling, that are trying to pay their rent, that are trying to feed their families. Those are the people that I'm for. If you got a business and you're doing good and you're making your money, God bless you. But the people that I interact with, those are not those people. And so I want people in office that will help them, that will help the poor, that will help the seniors, those are the people, the homeless. I've never heard anything from the Republican Party about helping no damn body get nothing.
Hey.
Not a poor person.
Mm-hmm.
Not a poor person. They help the rich, or they help the middle class or upper middle class, but not the poor.
Toussaint, what we gonna do with your sister, Toussaint? What we gonna do with her?
Make a president.
I got a mind. You ever saw two big people wanting to fight and they just arguing?
Yeah.
And then you saw a third person come in and they throw the knife in the middle of them. Let me get my 2.5 minutes that I got left.
Okay.
This reminds me of a person that has skill, but he owns the football. And because you won't let him play, he take his football and go home.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody will ever know what you are trying to say if you just leave.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. Here's what I see people do. I want to say something. Well, you won't let me say nothing. You took up the time trying to get somebody to get you to say something when you should have said it.
Exactly. And that was my point. That was my point earlier. I said, man, you want to argue about who muting the mic, but you got the mic right now. Make your point. No,
so that's why I don't talk long.
Mm-hmm.
I don't say much.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm gonna say something and my mouth is open
Yeah.
because that's my opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take advantage of it.
Exactly.
We are in a mess in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And every time that I've noticed that we get in a bigger mess is when certain people, type of people, get in office that don't care for people.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about the few that make it. You know, we was hooray, hooray, hooray about people that has businesses. I ain't talking about you.
Mm-hmm.
Good for you. Good for you. But that's a selfish mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got mine.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, I got mine. But there are other people that need that I got to be concerned with. And those are the type of people that we need for the whole of this. I was almost going to say great country that we live in, but that's the biggest lie that was ever told.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Wow. Good deal. Badger, good morning. How you doing this morning?
It's a morning.
Hey, how my nephew doing, man?
Oh, he's doing all right. He's got 2 stitches.
Okay. Okay. Tell him those are just little war wounds. That's all it is. He made it through.
I
Tell him
just
it's
hope
just
he remembers not to swing on the shower curtain this time. Or
exactly.
shower
Exactly.
curtain rod.
What do you think about this conversation we're having this morning, Badger?
I didn't catch the beginning that got to where it is now. The pillow kind of kept me in the bed a little bit longer than normal. So
I sure wish Badger was on. I sure wish Badger was on here when he put his people in. Yo, when he threw his people under the bus, he threw our folks under the bus. Badger.
Wait, what?
He threw our folks under the bus.
Who?
He said Indians own slaves. Now, I don't know about everybody else's history, but I know mine. And
wait,
gave mine a refuge.
See, Kurt trying to stir something up this morning. You see him stirring.
That thing pissed me off. Raheem,
yes, sir.
Go on my page, right? Everybody, go on my page, and y'all see a picture. On my page, it's in black and white. You can tell the pictures from the early days when they first started taking film, right? It's a picture of my great-great-grandfather. My grandfather is the baby in the picture. All right? That's how old this picture is. My grandfather is the baby. My great-great-grandfather is the man. And he with my great-great-grandma. He with my great-grandmama, right? You can look at them and you can tell that they are Indians out of Florida. You can look at them and tell. The only way you can tell that he's African, that he's part African, is because he is purple. He ain't black. He purple. That's how dark he is. And his eyes are, it's a black and white. So his eyes almost look like they completely white. Right?
So,
and I know that side of my family. The Indians gave us refuge. When we ran and maybe couldn't get north, an Indian tribe would give runaway slaves refuge. So I don't know what that guy was talking about, but it was very insulting to the indigenous community.
Okay, let's go back to Badger. Badger, what's on your heart, brother?
I will not say that there wasn't a handful of Native Americans that could have decided to walk away from the Red Road, bought land, and owned some slaves. I didn't live back then, so I can't say that. But the fact that someone would make that comment also shows me how much of history they don't know. Man, I don't want to get on that topic. Oh man.
Let me come back to you, Badger. Let me come back to you.
Well, I was wanting to cover what y'all were talking about when I got on, not that one.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not touching the native thing.
Okay. Badger said,
No, I don't. So I don't know who hopped on this morning that got everyone all fired up.
Go ahead, Badger.
It's so interesting because a lot of times it's funny when I can hear you guys fired up when I get on here in the morning. I already know that somebody has either made a very uneducated comment or they went and believed they didn't go do research. And if it's politics, it's probably all of the above. Well, with all this voting stuff and things like that, the Electoral College has been around for a while. Because technically, if you looked at the votes, Trump should have never got in office because Clinton won. Or Hillary Clinton or whatever actually won popular vote. However, the Electoral College is what put Trump in office in the first place. So, and then here we get to Biden. Oh, look what happened. Biden's in there. So here's, I'm gonna sound kind of not my normal self, just letting you know. Oh, look, here's a Republican that used the law with the Electoral College to get elected. Oh, look, here's the Republican that's complaining that the Democrat got elected by using the same means. That hasn't been happening for the last 200 years. Or no, I'll say 100, just to be nice. But then I'll bring up my point. If you can go on the constitutional website that gives you access to every single bill that is being put in and show me where Republicans, Democrats, or a liberal or whoever make a list of which bills are for what, and then come talk to me. Because that's what I do. I go look at the bills, I go see who's writing what. And I'm always going to come from that same standpoint. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I'm going to vote and work towards and support the person that is doing their job for the American people as a whole.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Let's go to Tucson. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother? Tucson, you there?
Yeah, I'm multitasking.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm like Badger. I could care less about, and really, let me go a little further. I could care less about Republican, Democrat, white, black, green, purple, blue, and brown. Care less about that. Do the right thing. Somebody always told me, do the right thing. And then don't be so selfish. Don't make it about you. It's more than just you. We hooray and we get up and we base our opinions on, just like, for instance, people that had an opportunity to either start a business or help their business. And the government assisted them in being where they wanted to be. And now they have 6 or 7 figures coming in. Well, let me just say this. To either start a business or help their business. Well, let me just say this. I don't know what that is. I'm talking and I ain't even saying nothing.
No, that was me, brother. I hit the wrong button there.
I probably need to say it again. So it has. So the thing about that is you can yay, hey, hooray if you want to, but if it's only helping you, that ain't doing nothing. And if you only got $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, you still broke. You didn't know it.
Yeah.
Just because you're out of the hood, that don't mean nothing either.
Mm-hmm.
We got some multi-millionaires that is not worth a dime in certain communities that need help.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Some of them they got billions of dollars. So I'm just amazed at how we jump parties based on our financial status.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Exactly.
all I'm gonna say about that.
Good deal. Good deal. Captain Leonard, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, I think all the comments is warranted, but let me make my point clear. And it's because I'm sitting here on DKM radio. I will not allow the devil to come in here and cast a spell
Mm-hmm.
because it's foolishness. You don't call in here lying. Don't I mean I don't your perspective and why people come or what have you. But you do not come in here and present things that are not true, thinking that
Mm-hmm.
we just so stupid that we got to sit here and listen to them. I've been kicked out of several conservative rooms, and I've been the most conservative in that room. But the ignorance that's running rampant and people who support the Republican Party is just ridiculous to me. If you want people to agree with you or share your opinion or buy into what you're selling, say something of value and worth. Then rational, reasonable people can entertain your opinion. But I'm not finna allow somebody, like say for instance, if we sitting there at a family barbecue, the
Mm-hmm.
Klan ain't welcome. That's just how I feel about it. The Klan ought not be welcome here
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
in this space. And when you come in and you bring it, trust me, I am the most conservative person on this line. Don't come in here faking and thinking you're supposed to get the right away. Say something to change my mind. If you say something of value and it's reasonable and it's rational, I guarantee you I will entertain it.
Mm-hmm.
But lies and foolishness, no. Now, y'all so friendly and y'all are very decent people. But I'm a warrior.
Mm-hmm.
I fight. That's what I do. And I know my enemy when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't believe that crap and that foolishness. Go read, just like Badger said.
Mm-hmm.
Go read
Exactly.
it for yourself. The reason
Mm-hmm.
why you lack knowledge is because you won't go read it. See it. And when you go down there to that courthouse, something seems a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's because you don't know the laws and things that they have put in place to block you. If you don't understand the greater agenda, you don't see how these little pieces gnaw away at your rights and gnaw away at a true democracy.
Hey,
And this
can
election thing is very important, and the vote is very important. And for us to be so frivolous about it, well, this don't work, they fighting this. Who is writing legislation to benefit the masses?
Mm-hmm.
It is not the Republican Party. Trust me, if they were writing it, I would be telling you about it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I have I have something to just throw in there.
Okay. What's up?
If the people that are in the Senate and the House, they serve a certain amount of time, and then after they
Mm-hmm.
serve that time, they don't get they don't get no benefits and no money from it.
Mm-hmm.
Once their job is over, they don't get nothing else, including the president.
Mm-hmm.
Which means they either have to come out and work, or if they're old enough, they can get elderly SSI. I don't know what that is. And then they can live off of all the laws that they've been putting a lot of us on, instead of continuing to get these decently sized paychecks after they leave the House and the Senate and everything. I wonder if laws would start changing then.
Mm. Most likely. Cassandra?
Yeah. Badger, that is an excellent point. I promise you, things would look a whole lot different if that's the way it was. And Leonard, you almost made me cry because I don't understand how is it that you do not see the bigger picture. That it's not about you saying government do too much government control, all the stuff that all talking points you use against Democrats. All I'm concerned about is people. What is helping? Who is helping people?
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my heart is, man. It makes me, I get emotional and upset when I know that the Republican Party does not look after people.
Yeah.
They are about business. They're concerned about what business people are making, what corporations are making. Those people are making billions of dollars off of the poor.
Mm-hmm.
Off of the poor.
Yeah.
And then they get tax breaks that poor people can't get. I have to pay my taxes. I don't care if I make $100. They take out like what? Too much. I know that much.
Yeah.
So come on, y'all. It's about people, man. And it hurts my heart to know that there are people that all they talking about is business and I got mine, you go get yours. Well, some people can't get theirs like you get yours.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Good deal. Now, we're actually going to jump into our topic for today. We're going to jump into our topic, and I think we don't beat that one up pretty good. So we're going to jump right into our topic, and I'm going to ask a question. There's a question I want to ask, and everybody should, but not everybody has a person that they can turn to. And I know, some in some circles, people say, "Well, I turn to the Lord." We know that. We know and we understand that. But when you're really going through a situation, a trial or tribulation in your life, and you really need that person that you can lean, a physical person that you can lean on. Cassandra, I'm coming back to you. Who do you turn to?
Wow. Now you're gonna make me cry. Because I really don't have. Okay, it's one person, my bishop in South Carolina, Bishop Leroy Hamilton.
Okay.
It's a spiritual connection, and we know, it's not, and it's a spiritual connection. And this is what happened. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it there because I know this. For me, this is what happened. Yesterday, I had one of my roughest days physically.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so sick and I was feeling so discouraged and, like, God, this is crazy, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And Bishop Hamilton called me out of the blue and started talking to me about my health.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, out of nowhere. And he went into details, and he has done that over my life since, and I've known him since I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And he got saved at 12. Mm-hmm. But that person, he is that person that God always shows him when I'm really in need of encouragement, and he always hits it on the mark.
Wow, that's good. That's good. Curtis, who do you turn to, brother?
Antonio Jackson, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt, hands down.
Mm-hmm. Now, why him?
Without a doubt, I can't even. Listen. God put this dude in my life for a reason, man. You know what I mean? Like, we grew up friends who became cousins.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You know how you'll have a wonderful day. God bless you. You know how families intermarry and intergate, right?
Yes.
Like, a family, two different families in a neighborhood, and maybe an uncle my uncle start dating your auntie.
Mm-hmm.
And then they wind up getting married. That's exactly how it happened. We've been down like 4 flats since elementary school. And I ain't talking about 3rd or 4th grade. I'm talking about kindergarten. And what really makes me happy and what really lets me know on a daily and constant basis that there is a God is that he not only put 1 in my life, he put 4 in it. So we operate kind of like a band of brothers. You know what I mean? Like, although we all are intermarried cousins, right? We operate as brothers. We all done slept head to toe in the same bed. You know, we done went through elementary, middle school, and high school together. Everything about our lives, man. You know what I'm saying? God brought this particular five young men together for a reason. And we still tight like that. It's beyond sometimes I say it's beyond comprehension.
Good
you
deal.
know, and when we go places, people that don't even know us will come up to us at some point in that night and say, wow, man, like, y'all really friends. Y'all really friends. What you mean? Man, look, it's radiating throughout the room. Like, I can tell y'all boys tight. You see what I'm saying? So it's noticeable. So I thank God for Antonio, Kenneth, Stacy, and Tracy.
Good.
Tracy has passed on, went from labor to reward. But we stand tall, 10 toes down.
Good deal.
For each other, man. So I thank God for them.
Absolutely. Toussaint, who do you turn to, brother? Mute your phone there, Curtis.
Yeah.
Well, for right now, I think my sister has been married to my brother-in-law for about 16 years. And I've been observing, because I don't fool with too many people. But I would say my brother-in-law.
Wow, that's good.
For about 16 years. This guy I can call on at any time and have a need on something that needs to be accomplished. As long as I don't, he's a funny guy too. Don't drive on his grass. But he will come to your rescue, my rescue. I can call him right now. And it's not a certain thing. I believe that I can call him for anything. And he'll try his best to do it.
It's good.
And you know, you got some people that are particular. They're kind of funny about themselves. You know, and they operate in a way that they don't waste. They're really organized. They're almost neat freaks.
Yes.
And he's that type of guy. But since he's been in this family, I just say that's he the one. He's the one.
That's good. That's good. Badger, who do you turn to, brother?
I'd probably have to say my wife.
If
it wasn't for her, I'd probably been in trouble a whole lot. You know, I have a very intense temperament, and especially when it comes to certain topics and things of that nature. But I also do my best to be nice all the time. But when it comes out, it's a force, you know. So for me, knowing that I can become vulnerable to doing bad things when I get that angry. You know, I need to have that person to be able to talk to about and to be able to process the emotions I'm dealing with and stuff like that. You know, like, so it's, I mean, yeah, there's always creation and stuff. Yeah, but to me, creation blessed me with my wife and kids. So that's who I turn to a lot of times. And if it's not that, it's usually, you know, someone that I've known for a couple of years that I can just tell them, hey, I need to vent. You included, Raheem, Leonard, you know, most of you guys on the call. Shoot, I messaged Leonard yesterday going, you know, because there was a comment that was made on the show, and I had to end up messaging him just to get clarification, because I'm like, it sounds like they're talking hatred. Like, how is it not? You know, so just to learn. So but it's also learning how to be open to the fact that because of society, some of us do have issues processing emotions or dealing with certain kinds of situations, even if we don't want to admit that. So what's one of the best ways to, you know, work through it? Talk it out with somebody that we trust.
Exactly. Good deal. Now, Leonard, I save you for last for a reason, brother. Who do you turn to?
Well, definitely, I have to say up front, there is nothing about me that is not completely sold out to the Holy Ghost. So I really turn to the Holy Spirit, because the way it works for me is that when I need something from someone, God has to make that available. God has to lead me in that direction, because that means that you are a part of God's plan for me. And so, one, if I pray that God makes a provision for me. And sometimes that provision he makes will be a call from someone, or he'll relieve me of something that's causing me anxiety. I have friends that I can talk to about anything, you know, so it's not, you know, specific things of that nature. But I can honestly tell you, just from growth, is that one, I rely on my relationship with the Creator. And that guidance has proven more beneficial to me than any conversation I could have ever had with anyone. Because when I deal with issues that you cannot help me with, the only thing I need from other people is money. But when it comes down to my self-worth and my mental issues and things of that nature, I heavily rely on the Holy Ghost, because that's the only thing that can make me say, slow down. That's the only thing that can, you know, it's almost like, go and tell the man that owns the ass that the Lord has need of it. Because that's just the way I see that relationship. He will provide all of my needs despite anything else. There are sometimes, I mean, like with older people, sometimes you have to be still. You have to be still to witness the power of God sometimes. So that's what more I'm into, and where I go whenever things perplex me, I'm always praying about them. It's like, say, for instance, even with conversations here on this radio.
Yes.
I pray about that. Usually my prayers is that someone's heart is touched for the better or for the good. Because you get to that point where, one, when you're moving towards, when the objective is closer to the Creator, your life changes. It's different. The perception of things is different. So yes, I have a lot of comfort in my friends, but it is God who makes the way. God completely makes the way for me. 9 times out of 10, that intervention. Sometimes it's a prayer. I have people that will call and just prophesy into my life and say, that's all I want to talk to you about. Okay, bye. And things of that nature. You know, people call me on the side to talk about things or whatever. It's because I'm allowing, in my life, for God to lead me those ways. I'm not going for. I told my wife, especially with the mental, the physical ailments and things I've had recently and things like that. It's something has changed,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a lot freer than I was before. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe I'm getting closer to the Creator, and I'm always moving that way. And moving that way says, you know what? Some of these things that you're worrying about, you don't need to worry about. It
Absolutely.
says that, go to this person to talk to them. Sometimes I just want to talk to a person because they make me laugh. You don't have to, provide a solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's good. That's
just
good.
Make me laugh.
Distract
me.
Okay. Hey, Leonard, stay right there, man. Cause you just jumped right into what my next thing was gonna be, and I don't want to go too much past it. Cause Sandra, Leonard he don't know it, man, but without knowing it, he just jumped right into what my next question was gonna be, and I'm gonna lead it off with you. When you turn to that person, do you always need them to say something to you? Do you always need them to give you advice, or do you sometimes just want somebody to just listen?
Listen, because and that listening is essential. And with what I do ministry wise, a lot of times I don't give people think that I'm giving them answers. No, they have their own answers.
Mm-hmm.
All I am is a listening ear. I'm that listening ear. And can I tell you what happens? People will actually answer their own questions or their own concerns. Yes. Sometimes they will you just let them talk, and they go like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I could do something.
Yep.
They've already given them own self the answer.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. So, but Leonard, I mean, yeah, Leonard. You hitting it today, man. You making me emotional. I don't want. I'm going to be getting off in a minute because I'm going to marry a couple. But yeah,
awesome.
It's
good deal.
Yeah,
good deal. Bring them together. Let God use you, sister. Let God use you.
Yeah,
absolutely. Toussaint.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Yes, absolutely. Go ahead, Cassandra. Finish your thoughts, sis.
Yeah, no, I'm so grateful for what for what is brought to the table here, because I really do. I'm not kidding. I feel like everyone that gets on brings something unique to the table, whether it's to give us an awareness of what we don't want to do, what we don't want to say, how we don't want to act. I may act that way sometimes. Y'all don't pick up any bad habits, but we got people to bring some very unique perspectives, and I love it.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, God has blessed us over here, man. We got a real good family. I don't say team, but we family. We all family, man. And like I always say, man, we don't always have to agree. and most of the time in your average family, everybody not going to agree with everything. Not everything. But we love and respect each other enough to allow everybody to have their opinion. Toussaint, you there?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Now, if you turn to that person, Toussaint, do you always turn to them for them to give you the advice that they might want to give you? Do you lean on them toward that, or do you just sometimes just sit there and don't say nothing? Just hear me out.
Well, one thing I notice, what I know about me, I'm not gonna listen to you anyway.
Lord. Lord.
No, for real. Most people are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they come to you for advice, they're not gonna listen. They already have made up in their minds on what they're gonna do or what they're not gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
They just need an ear to kind of thin those things out. That's how we operate. We ain't gonna listen.
Now, Toussaint. Now, in that, if that person would have stopped you in the midst of your venting, because that's what it sounds like you're saying. You're venting, and while you're going through that venting cycle, if they stop you and say, "Wait a minute, man, now hold on now, you do that, you're going to jail now." You know, if you do that, you're going to jail, bro. Are you gonna listen?
There you go. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's going. That's what they're gonna say. Now, there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't ask you for your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I just want you to listen.
But man, I can't sit here and listen to you and you talking about you going to go to jail, bro. I'm not gonna sit here and just, man, I can't just. I'm your friend, brother. I'm not gonna.
You know I ain't. Now you know I ain't gonna go that far.
Okay.
You know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know I ain't gonna go that far.
Okay.
I mean, I'm upset. Even when I'm upset.
Mm-hmm.
Now you gonna tell me something about you think I'm gonna go as far as to have myself incarcerated behind foolishness that I know better?
Mm-hmm.
But listen to me. Listen to what I'm saying. Here's the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want you to listen. Somebody was talking to me and they had to get me to see that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm full of information. But I won't take the advice that I give.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow.
Most people are like that.
Mm-hmm.
We give excellent advice.
Mm-hmm.
But if we look at our own situations, we won't listen to the advice that we give other folks.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
For the most part, everybody's like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when you come to a person, or when you go to a person that's either giving or taking advice, the main thing is that, like Leonard is saying, God puts us certain people in our lives to kind of allow the strong to bear the infirmities of the weak, because none of us have an S on our chest.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Think we do, but you need some help.
Mm-hmm. Without a
I need
doubt.
my money ASAP.
You know what I'm talking
I need for you to get that man his money, right?
You.
We lost you, your audio. I lost your audio, Raheem.
Did it happen again?
There you go.
I'm still on here, brothers, but
We got it back now.
I said Leonard in Tucson.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Raheem playing with the computer. Well, hopefully Raheem will be able to get back with us and get the audio set up. You still hear me, Kurt? Anybody that's still on the line, once he make those adjustments, he should be back on. Sounds like I hear him a little bit there messing with that little short in the line. But if anybody is still on the line,
yep,
definitely there you go, Badger. And hopefully we'll get Raheem back on his audio. And what you had was mentioning earlier and how we got into these conversations. And I think I hear him coming back now. Yeah, turn it up, Raheem.
Okay, hold on. Something's going on with it here. Hold on.
Yeah, you're back. You're coming back.
Hey, let it. There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
There you
I don't
go.
know what happened, man. It's just some is short out, then it came back in. I don't know, man. I was bossless for a second. I was bossless.
And you might want to go ahead and check it out a little bit later, because you're not as we definitely can hear you. But it ain't in stereo.
Okay. Take it for a second. Let me work on it.
Right. And so I want to know personally, with Badger, like with some of your comments and things like that. And when you were talking about the creator, and we know we share that same kind of belief system where we believe that the creator provides things.
Yeah.
So when you are in our space, do you think that it's different, or is that why you're so comfortable on this show?
What do you mean?
As far as, do you feel a certain safety in this space that you don't feel in other places?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a lot of that has to do with, to me, there's a difference between being religious and spiritual.
Right.
You know, so I use words like creation and things like that because, to me, the word God's been way overused and butchered.
Because I want to make sure that people understood what you said about that and how we definitely are always trying to do the right thing and what's most beneficial and to be positive. So you know me, I get very disturbed with negativity.
Oh yeah, me and you, man. Sometimes certain people hop on the show, man, and it's just I'm over here like, and you know how nice I am. I'm over here biting my tongue, going,
right. And I think that's
man.
what, like when Raheem asked this, particular question, we're like, who do you turn to? All the time, it's for different things. There may not one person is gonna be your go-to for everything, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's why I brought up. There's my wife.
Right.
I go to her for a lot of things and just sit there and talk to her and things like that. But when I'm on the talk show, she's not on the talk show. So she
Right.
doesn't know what's going on. So I'm going to come to one of you guys because, and you probably know me better than anyone else on the show. So, I can talk to you and, work on my vocabulary so I'm not misunderstood and learn other people's vocabulary and different points of view. So that way I can approach it in a calm, polite manner versus, I took it wrong and now I'm up on a soapbox.
Right. Because not everyone needs the same thing from their friends. Like I like Kurt and how he talks about his friendship with his group of friends. And I think it's different for everybody just based on your experiences. And I know some people that it ain't even got to be their blood relative, but they develop a relationship with somebody for so long and trust them for so long. And then you got people who have been through certain things that make them a lot tighter. Like me and one of my very good friends, what's up, Portia? He has battle buddies because as me and him both were in the military together. However, when he went and re-enlisted, he went to Iraq on several occasions.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. And he developed friendships with individuals based on that experience of being in battle with them on the battlefield. So that's a different relationship and a different go-to. Like, say, for instance, when he first came back and started talking about how he felt, and we know that there was issues with PTSD and things like that. I was able to, we would talk late at night. I mean, some very hard conversations. But what came out of it was a program where he established online for other battle veterans who were coming home from Iraq and things like that, to have a place that they could go and people that they could be around that shared the same experience and talk it out with one another.
That's awesome.
And that has helped a lot, especially as it relates to, that high suicide rate.
Oh yeah, for sure, man.
And talking to people that have been in battle and in Iraq and things like that and trying to get adjusted. So just by talking to him and sharing with him, he found a avenue to express himself.
Check.
We can hear you.
We hear you, but it's not your normal stereo.
Well, like the situation I had a while back before I met you guys, and got on the radio show. My back gave out, so I constantly struggle with being able to walk and different things like that, and I just kept putting out the creation. I'm like, what do you want me to do with this?
Mm-hmm.
And I was outside and, I saw this hawk fly by and I'm like, messenger. Okay. I got online, I got on Twitch and I started looking up talk shows.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And just this random thought popped in my head to look up talk shows. I came across you guys. Wow. I listened for the first couple of times and I'm like, I'm going to call in and see what happens. And y'all haven't let me leave yet.
That's excellent. And that's to clear it up for people. To let people know, I met Badger online on this show. So it's not like we've known each other outside or forever. We met on this particular show.
If it
So you
wasn't for
never
creation
know.
and my wife telling me, you can do this, you got this, and
Mhm.
you know, I disappeared from the show for what, a month
Yeah.
because I got really nervous and overwhelmed, and there was people making comments towards me and stuff like that, and I let it stop me from being on the show.
And so that's why it's good to have you back. And like I say, to everybody is not the same. So I may not break down, but that doesn't mean that I still don't need people to talk to.
Right.
I may not, react the same way to a situation, but sometimes just listening helps. And I hope, even like if people notice that when folks are pray on the show, a lot of times that's the theme of their prayer is for the communication, because you, like all of us, we all do a lot of different stuff from each other. So I never know. Like, one, you got Cassandra. She's an actress and an activist and a pastor as well. So she's doing a lot of things. You got Kurt. He does a thing where he works and helps young people who are in trouble, and he's a great actor. You got my man Tucson, who's a preacher down in South, and I always say that if my dad was still alive today, he would remind me of Donald Tucson, because of it is what it is, or how's that gonna work out for you. So we've learned and got used to certain people that call in online, and that's why we invite people. And I think Raheem invites people to call into the show for that particular purpose.
Yeah, because I'm not half blood. I'm half white, half native. So, there was. I'm not gonna lie about it. Yeah, I was nervous because of how much stuff I've dealt with over the past. You
Right.
know, because I do my history, I do my research.
Mhm.
I'm an activist. I'm all about history and making sure everyone knows the history. When it comes down to laws, I want it. I try to give people information to help themselves.
And even in our organ, like, that's the great thing about being a part of an organization like New Order, is the fact that so many people are involved and they do so many different things that no one bears the entire burden of doing everything. And it's great to be a part of that organization, because you can get in where you fit in. Like, say for instance, if you wanted to join New Order and bring that your background to our activism, we're about that as well.
Check.
There you
Then,
are.
There you go.
then can you,
Yeah, I hear you.
all right, good deal. We got
You
finally got it back up. I had to restart everything, man. I don't know what happened there, man. It got a little fancy on me, but
I'm gonna come up there with some matches.
yes, sir. A rubber hammer, brother.
I'll just come up there and touch it, and I'll find out where the short is real quick. Electricity
Exactly.
takes me.
There you go. I think we got during the time that I was away, man, trying to get this thing fixed up. I think we got Rico with us. Rico, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Man, I can't complain at all. Grand Rising to everybody. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good. Rico, we asking a question right now, and everybody have to have this person in their life, and it's good. But some people, truth of the matter, some people don't. But I'm asking the question, man. When you're going through and spiritual people are gonna say, well, I turn to the Lord. We understand that we get that part. But on the physical side, when you're going through a situation in your life, Rico, who do you turn to?
It depends, man. I mean, I turn to certain people for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I call people and vent to them, but I can tell they're not really listening intently.
Mm-hmm.
Intensely enough, and then I realized I wasted my time. I should have just kept it to myself,
Mm-hmm.
And I heard you were saying earlier about wanting people to listen and not say anything, but really and truly, sometimes a person will listen to another one vent,
mm-hmm.
and they'll hear what the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hear this person venting or actually complaining about issues that they are having, situations that's going on, and you actually see what the problem is, it is your purpose to tell them. And a lot of times when people tell you that they want you to listen, they really want you to listen intensely.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They don't want to just go through the motions. They telling you, man, they want you to really listen, because if you really listening, you're gonna hear what they're saying, and you will probably be able to come up with a solution.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they'll appreciate it because they'll know that you can understand where they're coming from. You know, but sometimes we just like to say, because we just taking in the juicy information.
Yeah.
Ooh, I didn't know this.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't even really think about a solution because we only thinking about the information and how salacious it is. Ooh, man, I didn't know that. Wow, we intrigued by just knowing that business.
Exactly.
But ain't nobody really thinking of putting themselves in that scenario. But I'm gonna tell you, this is why I called in. I had to straighten out some false information that everybody just put out. You know what I'm saying? I see that even as adults, we don't mind cheerleading and jumping on sides just to jump on sides. But there were Native American slaveholders.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
There were Black American slaveholders.
Mm-hmm.
And now some of them were slaveholders because they bought freedom for their families. And some of them went into the business because they accepted that aspect of it. They were capitalists. They believed in capitalism. They loved it. Two of the Indians that owned slaves, one of them was named Chief Greenwood LaFleur, had 15,000 acres in Mississippi. He was a Choctaw Indian and had over 400 enslaved slaves.
Mm-hmm.
Another one was a Cherokee slaveholder named John Ross, had numerous African American slaves. And he made them make that brutal march to the Trail of Tears in Oklahoma. He was rich and wealthy. He didn't have to suffer. He benefited from Andrew Jackson during the Trail of Tears.
Mm-hmm.
But the African Americans he made march with the ones that were beneath him, they suffered like the rest of the Native Americans. He was a slaveholder.
Mm-hmm.
Then you also had Black American slaveholders
Yeah.
that loved capitalism. And 180 of them was in South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them named was William Ellison. But he was a former slave. He bought his freedom, introduced his son into it, paid free Black men to work for him, and realized that the profits just wasn't able to keep up with the white slave owners. And so he felt like for him to keep up with the Joneses, what better business to get into than the same business of good free Black slavery like the rest of them. He ended up being one of the most brutal ones in the history of South Carolina. 180 Black men that bought into the capitalistic system that they valued of owning Black slaves and trading them and mistreating them and doing them just as bad as the white people because it was so much more profit that they cared about. They didn't care where they came from.
Mm-hmm.
So I just came on here to do a little grand opening and a little grand old closing. You know, that was wrong how y'all just did Charles.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even get a chance to finish his point. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes when a person has a point to make and then they get interrupted and the interruption lasts 2 or 3 minutes, then yeah, they can't talk. They can't get their point out.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody jumped down that man's throat and then called him a lie when he was telling the truth. I think when we need to check that sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all of us know a little something, but none of us know everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, that's why I made the comment I made that.
Hold on. Everybody, hold on. Cassandra, come to you. Then Badge, I come to you. What's on your heart, Cassandra?
I just want to say that now, you know, for anybody that says that was never any Native American slaveholder, I just gave you the name of 2 of them, a Cherokee and a Choctaw.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if anybody ever says there were never any Black American slaveholders that were operating in chattel slavery, I just gave you the name of one.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 180 more of them just in the state of South Carolina alone.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I ain't saying we got to apologize to Charles, but the next time we come on, sometimes it'd be good to let that man you was right. Let that man know you was right. And I don't agree with Charles on everything that he said. I don't agree with nobody on this panel with everything they say.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm lying about something, just, you know what I'm saying, because I disagree, I hope somebody will come and correct me on it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we do. That's what I hope that we do here. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Okay. So what I wanted to say is that I did not say, because I'm a fairly intelligent woman and I'm fairly intellectual. I know that there were Blacks that owned slaves, and I know that there were Indians. So if any of it was directed toward me, I know historically that was what took place. It was other things that he said that I was disagreeing with But as far as the slavery part, I think most of us know that there were black people. We should know that there were black people that had slaves, and there were Indians that had slaves. A lot of what the Indians did were bringing just to shelter them, giving them refuge, but then some did own slaves. So, you know, I don't know, you know, Rico, who you thought said was cheerleading on against him. But if he's wrong about something, I'm going to say it. I don't care who don't like it. You know, anybody on here cannot look what I see, and I'm going to say it. I'm going to stand my ground. So I never, because I'm intelligent enough to know, and I know history well enough to know that there were black slave owners and there were Indian slave owners.
Okay.
I'm just saying, since we went back to that topic.
Okay. Badger?
You know, and that's, even I made the comment, you know, that there were Native Americans. Matter of fact, I went on there because I know there's a couple of books. And for anyone listening, if they want to know more about it, Black Slaves, Indian Masters, Slavery, written by Barbara. How do you pronounce that last name?
That's a tough one right there. Carl Hammer.
It's K-R.
I'm gonna put it in a box here. Go ahead.
You know, and she goes into detail about it and different things like that. You know, when people become greedy, and the reason I said I wanted to stay away from that topic myself is because to me, those weren't Native Americans. Those were apples. They walked away from the Red Road and went into, you know, the greedy system that was brought to America. You know, and I know because of the comments I'm making right now, there's going to be a lot of people that ain't going to like me for it. Because what I'm going to, for them to call themselves Native American and to walk in a Native American path, to own slaves, to own another human being, is not okay. That like, we're, you know, that's not honoring another human being. So I'm that topic is way too personal for me to truly comment about.
Okay. Good deal.
So, yeah.
Okay. Leonard?
Sir.
What's on your heart, brother?
I'm just listening. It's good for people. Hopefully, like I said, when you hear something that we talk about from day to day that you may not understand, definitely go pull up some more information about it so you would know. And you can add that comment. You can email that comment to the show or put it on your page or what have you. And that's, you know, a lot of people are uncomfortable with certain things. And certain people only want to use certain knowledge for their own benefit and their own narrative. When the fact of the matter is, if things existed, they existed. What does that have to do with me now? It existed. It existed for lots of different reasons. Like the whole thing with the holidays, for instance, like with Thanksgiving, which was the last thing I cleared up for people. So people hopefully will start to change their minds about certain things. If you do not if you only understand Thanksgiving from the point of white people and Indians, you're missing it. You don't know nothing about Native American history. You do not know that even prior to white people, Native American tribes were warring with one another. Some of them were choosing to support the French. Some of them were choosing to support the British. And often there was conflict brought in. We know we had slavery and we had individuals, say, for instance, escaped slaves. You could find refuge, but you'd have to leave. You understand what Badger is referring to? That whole practice of chattel slavery is definitely against their philosophies of Native Americans. So he'll criticize them from his point of view because he's part Native American and he has that knowledge. So you have to go get knowledge first before you try to start convicting people and things and what was done. You just don't say because it happened and then just try to squeeze it into your narrative because you're obviously going to be missing things. You're going to be missing important information that may make someone question what it is you're saying.
This is not very not popular, but it's a road I got to go down right now. And Tucson, I see you, brother. I'm going to come to you as well. when we talk about how one person sold another person and one person captivated it and all these different things, it may not be to that level, but is there a certain element of our community or communities that's still doing the same thing to each other today?
Yes, it's called human trafficking. That's all. That's all that is. It's human trafficking. It still goes on today.
Yeah,
it's just not sanctioned by the government like it used to be.
Wow. Toussaint, what's on your heart? We will come to you next, brother.
Well, a sellout is a sellout. I'm just saying. I mean, people have a tendency to pick up at a certain point with the information that they have based on what they've read or searched out to make their point and go from there and build on that with their own mindset and try to prove that as the truth when you don't. That ain't all of it. And take, for instance, we coming up with, and we just left a holiday. Your mindset ain't got nothing to do with me. The way that I live is celebrate, or I don't celebrate. Let me correct myself. I'm thankful every day. I'm grateful every day. I don't pay no attention to the mindset of black Jesus, white Jesus, green Jesus, purple Jesus, God, Holy Spirit, spirituality, in the mindset of somebody else. That ain't got nothing to do with me. Christian, Muslim, I'm all of that. I'm Jehovah Witness. I am a Jehovah Witness. Not in the sense of somebody thank you.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Jehovah is our creator.
Yeah.
And I'm a witness for him. Period. I may not go door to door, but I will let them into my house because we can talk. Because I don't have a fear of the closed mindset of putting God in a box. He ain't even in time. So I don't know where this conversation went because I wasn't here, but people try to make their point and want me or anybody else to think like them. It'll never happen in my life. Period. I'm my own person.
Absolutely.
Think like me. I will take your point of view under consideration, but I'm not going to be cloned by anybody. Period. So we got a platform that is diverse, and that's a good thing. But to say, okay, I'm gonna automatically agree with you. I wish I would. It almost made me
Good deal. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, I just had to clear that little part up, man. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know, I mentioned the name. I wasn't directing that at Cassandra, especially if Cassandra wasn't the one that said that Native Americans didn't own Indians or Black Americans didn't own them. You know what I'm saying? It's whoever disputed what Charles said.
Okay.
Charles was telling the truth. Some of the people were benevolent, and some believed in the American way, the system. It was very profitable. And sometimes when it makes dollars, it makes sense. And we got to understand that just as people do it today, they did it back then. And it hurts to even understand or even comprehend, try to even rationalize the fact that another Black person could buy into that system that they bought themselves out of and then go and start practicing the same brutality. Hard to imagine that, but it happened.
And you said he was
and we can't get mad at a person for bringing it up. It's hard to imagine that a Native American say, well, you know what, man? y'all might have wrong what y'all did, you know what I'm saying? But in these last 20 years of my life that I've been born, I sort of like the fact that y'all got things.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got education, y'all got superficial and material things, y'all can travel the world, and I sort of like the idea of being able to, if you know, hey, if I got mine, you get yours.
Wow.
I see how it works. It happens. You know what I'm saying? And we have to acknowledge that when people tell the truth about that. So you know that is what it is. I just gave us the facts on that. You know what I'm saying? People could take it and run with it and look it up from there. Now back to what you were saying about having somebody to lean on. You know what I'm saying? Is when you go to have the confidence that you need to lean on. You know, sometimes you can only talk to certain people about certain things. You might have somebody that you can't talk to about business because they gonna go and use that against you. They just as bad as those Native Americans and those 180 black slave owners in South Carolina that bought into the system. So they and they'll use that. You know that happened probably a lot of times when people were confiding about having revolutions, rebelling against slavery. Then you had some, oh no, wait a minute. We go out here on these woods and go on the run, then I ain't gonna be able to sleep by my heater and mouse a house.
Wow.
I'm gonna be out there in the cold. I ain't trying to be out there in the cold with y'all. Master, they trying to run. They gonna be mad at me if I don't go with them. I gotta go ahead and let you know where you be. If you want to straighten it out, beat them. But you done confided into this man. You get what I'm saying? Because he going through the same thing you go through. And when he mad at Mouse, I'm mad at Boss, he say the same things you say. He feel the same way you feel. Oh man, you know what? He see Boss as prejudice too. He mad at Boss too. Let me go and tell him that what we got going on. Wait a minute now. I ain't like y'all. So you have to be very careful who you confide in. You know what I'm saying? You got to be very selective. You know, some people you can't confide in about everything, but in my case, I have certain people that I confide into about certain things because sometimes people have objectives and agendas, and they'll use what you would confide into them against you.
You'll mess around and hear it again, mess around and hear it all over again. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother?
You know, it's funny that your brother mentioned that, Brother Rico mentioned that, because it was me who said that. You understand? And I'll be the first one to say I apologize for the way that came out, because certain things are obvious. But here's what bothers me with that, is that we make comments such as that, and they are blanketed comments and or general comments. And certain people, certain factions hear that. And the first thing they say, and I done heard this verbatim, I done heard this while I was in the military, and it literally came out of one of their mouths. And although some people can say that it's not disputable, I had to dispute that. The thing that they'll say is, you see what they say about their own kind? They'll take that whole ideology and they'll wrap it up in a nice present with a bow on it that says all black folk. Well, why you got a problem with it if your people did it? No, I got a problem with them too. Because they bought into a system that was illegal and that was against humanity. So to throw that information out there is needed, but it's a way to put that information out there. You can't, I don't believe, this is just in my opinion, I don't believe that you can throw that information out there with the ideology that we just as responsible for it as anybody else, because I think that's crazy. Because that didn't start with us. Now, if had it started with us, then I'd be right there, sitting right next to you in the car. But that didn't start with us. That was what you call an assimilation. So these people assimilated to an ideology. And once again, I say again, in terms of slavery, the only people that did not buy into slavery, into American slavery, and what it meant. The only people that really bought into the actual law of indentured servitude was the Quakers. They was the only ones. Now, when you look at history, yeah, it may have been, okay, you say 180 black slave owners in South Carolina alone. So if I just estimated, and I said around the whole entire American populace, you said 180 in South Carolina, we can say, let's just say a total of 1,000 black slave owners, total. Well, at the time, the population was 4 million, if I'm not mistaken. It was 4 million blacks. So you're telling me 1,000 out of 4 million is a reputable number that we should look at? It is a number that we should acknowledge, yes. But that doesn't represent the majority of black people. That does not represent the majority of Indians that own slaves. That represents a particular person who, just like Donald said, became a sellout and chose to go in the direction of their own wealth and their own modulation into society. But we have to be careful, because sometimes when we throw that out, and
Kurt, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Kurt,
even me.
Kurt, let me ask you a question, brother. Let me ask you a question. And I want you to speak on this in terms of what we're talking about. You has been acting for as long as I can remember. And you know, we met that way with acting and stuff like that. And it's been years and years ago. I only about 20 years I think it has been. But
yeah.
But my thing is this, right? If you own a production and you own a huge production right now, and if in that production everybody is doing everything they're supposed to do, and everybody and Cassandra, you know, she in the acting world as well, everybody's doing everything they're supposed to do, but you have this one character on stage with you. Say it's a stage play, and this cat just don't want to go with the norm and don't want to learn his or her lines. And every time y'all try to rehearse, every time y'all try to do something, you have to keep stopping and keep stopping and keep stopping. At what point are you going to get frustrated with that individual?
Right, you should have went there. Because that is the moment where people get walked over in that business. You take their lines.
Okay, and see,
you will get frustrated.
Exactly.
But somebody up there will take those lines and just run with it. They will almost make that person disappear on stage.
And so
they will almost disappear. You know what I mean? So
that person is wrong. that person is absolutely wrong. That person is wrong, right? Everybody else.
Yeah. They did wrong for not putting the work in and not knowing what they supposed to know when they supposed to know it, because it could completely alter the flow and the meaning of the show. And you see what I'm saying?
And that's exactly where I wanted you to go. Exactly where I wanted you to go. And I think a part of the point that Rico was making, and he's the actual line, he can speak for himself as well, is it doesn't matter the number. If you have one that's wrong, then that could be the cancer. That could be the cancer. If you got one black person that's going out there buying slaves and stuff like that, that could be that could be the very cancer that will grow. And so, you know, and that's just me. This is me thinking. But go ahead, brother. You can speak on it.
You know what? I get that. I really do. I get that. And I completely concur with that. However, those same words, and I have heard this many years that I was in the military. I've had the privilege to live not only in the projects, but I've had the privilege to live in what we today would call as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I've heard those very same words used against us time and time again. And I'm pretty sure that all of us have, where to justify the inappropriate behavior for which one group and or sect in a culture has done, they have found those rotten apples. Like they say, there's always a rotten apple in every bunch, right? But to justify one's own behavior, what one will do in human behavior is find that behavior. He'll find that rotten apple in the barrel. That means he got to go all the way to the bottom of the barrel. The one apple that don't get a chance to breathe and don't get any sunlight, he'll go to the bottom of the barrel, pull that one rotten apple out, and then say, "You see, I told you, Raheem is selling rotten apples." Well, if there was only one rotten apple in the barrel, you know what I mean? So I just, you know, like I'm reminded of when you get a chance, there's an old white man. He has a video up on YouTube, and in his video, he got on his Klan outfit and everything, and he's saying, "Thank you," you know, in words. He's saying, because we don't have to do it no more. I don't have to wear this thing no more. I don't have to blah, 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 blah. And he's saying, because the things that you all have bought into that we have sold y'all doing it to yourselves.
Good deal. Absolutely.
So I get where Rick is going, and he's absolutely right. But all at the same time, in my mind, I just try and be leery of the information that we're putting out, because I know how somebody will take that and then turn it as to justify what they're doing.
Good
That's
deal.
Inappropriate.
Good deal. Let me go to Cassandra, then Rico coming to you next. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
Okay, what are we talking about now?
Well, we went back to the blacks owning slaves, Indians, and different things, indigenous people owning slaves as well. So, what in your heart? We got a few more minutes. We can go in a different direction. We got about 15 more minutes.
Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to say on that, because I know what happened historically, because I read and I do my own research, and I don't know everything, and I don't pretend to know everything. I don't know even half things. I don't know even half of the things, but I do know that I do my research and I talk on things that I know about. If I don't know about it, I just don't know about it. I can have an opinion, but if I don't know about it, I'm not going to say this is fact or that's fact. So, you know, it's all good. But listen, I'm walking into this place now to marry this couple, so I will see you guys tomorrow. Possibly.
Yes, ma'am. Good deal. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Rico,
all right.
What's on your heart, brother? What's on your heart, brother?
Yeah, y'all pretty much get my point. But you know, my thing was I didn't get Charles's point. You know, I don't know if Charles was going in that direction or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Rico?
So I hear a whole bunch of other stuff.
Yes. Somebody. Let me see. Somebody somewhere with some background noise. Let me see. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. But what? Let me say this though.
I don't know, Charles.
What happened with Charles? From what
I'm sorry, that was one of those confiders that came in. I'm sorry, my apologies.
It's okay. What I think what happened with Charles is he and Leonard got into a conversation, and it was just kind of going back and forth for a minute, and he didn't get his full time to make his point. So what I said, well, let's go back. Let's do this right here. Finish that point. And I'm gonna go back to Charles. And I told Charles, he actually texted me and found out, what happened. And I explained it to him. He understood at that point. But while he was on the broadcast, he was a little heated. I said, well, I'm going to go back to Charles and give him his appointed time. So I was going to give him a start at 3 minutes over for him to make his point. But he started arguing with me, talking about, man, you cut me out. I said, Charles, what's the point?
I've seen that part. I've seen all that. I've seen all that, because he was sort of agreeing with Leonard at first.
And then I said, well, look,
you know
what's the point?
You were making the point about him agreeing. What, you agreeing? So yeah, I saw all that. You know what I'm saying? I just thought that when he said that Native Americans own Indians, that was the last thing he got to say.
Well, right before
I don't know if he was making the point that I was making or not. You know what I'm saying? I actually wanted to finish hearing what he had to say, because I felt the same way. I was like, man, I know he ain't fixing to try to use this and flip it. So, I actually wanted to hear what he had to say, but he never got to that point. You know what I'm saying? And then, he was countered with, it didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's when I was like, well, wait a minute now. It did happen.
Yeah. And see,
you know, I don't know if he was, I mean, you know, I don't know if he was going in the direction I was going in, but now when I brought it up and then I actually used the point about confiding in the house you know, that was sort of the scenario I was using.
Yeah.
And Curtis summed it up, you know, because we have been on here quite a few times and said things like, you know, hey, man, capitalism is good. But that was the thing that convinced those Native Americans and those black people to participate in something that they already knew was dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Now, they conform.
I don't know if I would go so far.
Makes us sell out.
Yeah, I don't know if I would go so far as to say capitalism is good. I don't know if I would. I don't know. You know, me personally, I don't know if I would say that. But I understand the point that you're making, though. And
it can be good. You know what I'm saying? But that was what convinced them. You know what I'm saying? See, for a sellout to become a sellout, he has to have a can't beat them, join them mindset. So when you think about, you know what I'm saying, what made America, black people have adapted to a can't beat them, join them mindset. And we're trying to succeed in this system that wasn't meant for us to join it.
Exactly.
But some people joined it, and when they joined it and became successful, we have to hide them. We have to deny that they existed. But we call them conservatives today. We call them Republicans today. We call them Trump supporters today. They exist. That's just they just evolved from what they were back then to who they are now. So you know that it really, you know, it really was sort of eye opening, you know, to me to even hear that entire dialogue, because I know in a lot of cases it hurts to hear that you had your own people that would say, you know what, man, I'm gonna contribute to it. But you remember on Django, the part Samuel Jackson played? They existed.
Yeah.
They would have joined all the way in if they could have been the richest man in America.
Wow.
Some of them would have, the ones that did participate, you know, some of the same rich celebrities that are melanated right now that say they vote Republican, but they came from the slums.
Exactly.
They came from the ghetto. They come from families where they got relatives that are in this system that they really dislike. But the success has made them say, you know what, man, I choose this way of life, but I choose being in the 1%. Now, I don't believe in giving minimum wage increases. Now, I don't believe in giving tax cuts to them. I want the tax cut. I got to think about my bottom line. We have some of those people. They would have been the same people back then. So, you know, I that was my point. It is easy to get to adapt and get convinced, to conform, to buy, like Curtis said, drink the Kool-Aid, buy into it, that system. It's easy to do that when you were thinking money over everything, or when you just love the economical system that you value more than a lot of other things. Those Native Americans and those black people value the system and what made America great so much to the point of where they participated in the dysfunction, in the savagery, the mistreatment of others.
Exactly.
That's a wild thought process to you know, a wild fact to think of, but it's true. It happened. They bought into it. The same system that they had to buy themselves out of.
Exactly.
But see, this one black guy, William Ellison, he didn't have to work in the fields. He was actually lucky enough to work with a white man that owned a business that actually left him with responsibilities, and he probably worked for a white man that was more or less on the abolitionist side, or just not as evil as the rest of them. But he didn't see nothing wrong with it because he didn't go through the stuff that the one in the field went through.
Good deal. Let me go to Badger. You wanted to say something, Badger?
Yeah, man. You know, listening to a lot of this stuff, you know, some of it I try to be reserved and not really say too much about, but it reminded me of some conversations I had with a couple of people, and I wanted to use some of it as a example. So, slavery and all of these Confederate monuments. Most people want these Confederate monuments to be taken down, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I would ask them, I'm like, well, if you want to take all the rebel flag, the Confederate flags down and the monuments down, then why don't we take the American flag down too?
That's a good question.
And they look at me and go, why? I'm like, well, if you actually read the Abraham Lincoln thing, they were only talking about freeing the slaves that were in the South, but all of the northern states, the Union states, or the cities that were in the South that were controlled by Union forces were allowed to keep theirs. Not to mention the American flag was what was used to bring the slaves over here and was used to allow the slaves to begin with. So you're upset about these monuments, but you're not upset at the American flag that, has been used for, killing people in America, slavery, and all this other kind of stuff. And they're like, well, it means freedom. Okay. But the the Confederate flag wasn't just about slavery. It was also fighting the North because of the taxation that they were putting on the South. So they were fighting the North just like they used the American flag to fight the British.
Okay. Let's go to go ahead. Finish your thought, brother.
So when it comes to things like this, yes, there were Native Americans that owned slaves. It wouldn't surprise me if some of the people from China that came over had slaves. Wouldn't surprise me if someone of some other race owned black slaves. Yes, it was part of the capital style of government at that time. But if you take what was done back then to what is done now, because me and my wife had a conversation in the car yesterday, and this is something else I wanted to throw out there. Can any of you guys tell me, if you're buying a house, do you really own the house and the land, or are you just paying someone to live there when a corporation owns the rights to your land if you find gold, oil, or anything of the sort?
And they do. Leonard?
Well, first of all, what you have to do is you have to purchase the land contract along with the house. But most people do not purchase the land contract, nor do people, is it on the agenda of those individuals selling it to let you know to do that, for the very simple fact that they don't make money off of that.
Yeah.
So you have to purchase your land contract from the county. So that's how that is done. But most people don't do that. And you can only purchase the land contract on the home of your primary residence usually. So you just can't go purchase a lot of times because what will happen is it'll be contested by someone. So the contest is what's the big issue. Is if it's contested, it becomes an issue. Like, say, for instance, if you find precious metals under your home digging, if you don't own the land that your house is on, then one, they can try to claim domain over those minerals. Especially if someone holds the contract to that land that you don't know of. There's a title search that's done, not usually a land title search, but a title search on the property, the house itself, to make sure no one owns the house, but the land is a different issue. There's a different issue altogether. So, and it depends on where you're at as well. You never know. But I wanted to go back to, I think Kurt did a good job at explaining certain things when it comes to facts. Facts alone mean very little. They must be placed in context. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, go ahead.
So earlier, the context on why it was mentioned is because he was trying to use it to justify his point of view and support the Republican agenda. But it did not work very well for him, because once it was questioned, it failed. Like, say, for instance, okay, now that you do know it, what are you going to use that information for? What are you going to use it for? What's its value?
Mm-hmm.
What is its value to the conversation? Just throwing facts out make no sense at all. You have to put them in context.
Mm-hmm.
So because one Indian or one Native American may have had a slave does not mean that Republicans are doing a great job. You can't just make that huge leap like that. Or that it's okay on Republican policies and agenda that disenfranchise other people because the other side 300 years ago were doing the same thing. That's foolish. That's the foolishness of it. The fact that you threw out did not even relate really to the conversation. So when you're trying to constantly hammer this point, this don't fit. And so you can, and then I don't argue for fun. So when it was first mentioned, sure, I'm sure it happened. Not because I think it was a great thing, but because I believe that it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I've read certain things that have happened. But what I brought up was the fact that one, when you're talking about slave, what color person you think of? Huh?
Think of black.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. You think of black people. That's what makes it a race issue. You weren't talking about Chinese slaves or Indian slaves or nothing. When you said slave, you meant black. And this is the only connection that you have in which makes America the place it is today. It's because that when you say slave, you mean black. When you say slave, you mean chattel slavery. When you say slave, you mean all of those inhumane acts that people perpetrated against people solely because they were black slaves. If an Indian owned a slave, they did not own the slave to dehumanize the individual. Whole different concept. I may enslave you because you came into my territory and you ain't got no business being there.
Then I need for the sake of the qualify that, brother. Because some will say if you're a slave, you're not getting slaves for their benefit, for the benefit of the black person that you're enslaving. So qualify what you just said.
Well, first of all, when you talk about the benefit of slavery, first of all, let's understand that there was only one law of people that you were buying and selling. And they were black people. You don't hear about nobody going nowhere buying no Indian slaves, do you?
Exactly.
Or white slave. Where the white slaves at? So let's understand the context of the word slave. Just because what the white man was doing with his slaves don't mean that that's what the Indian was doing with their slave. You understand?
Yeah, I'm listening to what you're saying. Yeah.
Just because I buy you don't mean I put you on a plantation and worked you like a slave and treated you inhumanely.
What do you think was going on with them? What do you think they was using them for?
A lot of times, one, they use them as bargaining pieces for trade. Because one, if, like, say, for instance, one of the biggest things, let's say trapping of furs and things, which was the main interest of the British and all these types of things. There were Indian tribes that one captured other Indians and gave them to the British. It was common for them, for certain tribes, to exchange the captured tribal members to the British.
And most of the I want to chime in here. And a lot of times when they were doing things like that, it was because they were given the how do you pronounce that? I might be using the wrong word, so forgive me. The pretense of, if we help this country, they will leave us alone so we can protect our tribe if we do this.
Right. And what they learned is that, one, they could not win. And this is why they lost. We know what their history is and what happened to them. The Native Americans, that was very unsuccessful. So, and there were a lot of slaves who escaped and wrote the stories about running into Native American tribes that though they provided them shelter, it was just so they could rest up and move on.
Mm.
So it
Okay.
wasn't necessary, you have to look at that thing, indentured servitude. This is why there's such a huge effort to change the word slavery to indentured servitude. You can't do it because they don't mean the same thing. They simply don't mean the same thing. However, people will use it out of context, like this morning, to prove an already moot point.
Okay. Rico?
Bundle up. And if you miss a day's show or would like to see it in the security, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Toussaint, pray us out, sir.
Amen. God, we thank you for being able to come and reason together. We give you the glory and honor and praise that you deserve now, God. We ask that you would help us to unite in a way that would give you glory. And we need your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding just to do the right thing. Not only just do the right thing, but be righteous before your sight. Bless DKM and associates, and we ask that you bless us as we go through this day. Keep us in your care. In Jesus' name,
amen. Amen. It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your day. It is now 10:05. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug, because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. Now we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Love you. Take care of each other, and please be blessed.